Hi, this is Katie Shell. I'm an intuitive healer and spiritual counselor, and I work with several modalities, including essential oils, with aromatherapy, astrology, and embodied movement. And this video is about working with essential oils, but specifically about working with them as a way to tune into the energy of Mary Magdalene and to use this particular gift and tool that she used in her healing work. When we look at Mary Magdalene, there's a lot of different things that we can discuss about her, and I make different videos. I have another video that I've already put out about her as balancing the divine masculine, divine feminine, and this one is more about her tools as a healer, as an energy worker, as a priestess of Isis, as a myrrh bearer, as a myrrh for. And so all of those words are basically meaning that she anoints people with sacred oils in order to transmute, in order to bring a certain energy to them, in order to raise vibrations, in order to heal, in order to help, in order to tune into them. And so because of this, working with essential oils is a way to tune into her frequency for our own healing purposes. She's been with me my whole life, but it was when I got certified, when I went through the Wisdom of the Earth aromatherapy training, initially, and when we do the training, I'm a teacher for that now. We do, we're putting on 100 oils over the course of a couple of days. It depends. Like I do it spread out sometimes rather than over the course of a couple of days. But the point is that we're putting on so many oils, and it was at that time that I remember when I first heard her voice and first saw her face in front of me. I will never forget it. And since then, she has been coming to me in different forms at different times for healing, when I'm doing energy work on people, of course, when I'm doing the oils, and sometimes when I'm speaking and sharing different teachings of her, again, including that about the balance of the divine masculine and feminine, about compassion, about witnessing suffering. And all of these things are huge parts of those teachings for us. Sexual healing, that's another thing that she comes through for me, that I've done both on myself, and there's also a story about that too, and on other people. But right now I want to focus on her gift of the oils, and she is, I sometimes call her the original oil lady, because that is such an important part of her. A lot of the time she's depicted as, holding the alabaster jar in the Bible. She's talked about anointing the feet of Yeshua. She's talked about in different ways. So we see that anointing and that her using this tool, this gift from the earth, because essential oils are an alchemic process of earth, air, fire, and water that creates this essence of a plant. It's both physical and energetic. And so when we work with this, we are bridging worlds. We're bridging the spiritual and the physical realm, because this plant, the oil itself, is both. So the oils that I have an oil kit for her that you can get on my website, and this is focusing on the oils in that kit. So the first oil in the kit is, and I'm going to maybe eventually do additional ones where we do these separately, because I can talk about a single oil for a long time. But I wanted to give an overview of the kit and just talk a little bit about why this is important. So the first oil I want to talk about is myrrh. So most people have heard about myrrh and think of it as a sacred oil, or and associate it with her. If you've seen Jesus Christ Superstar, there's a line in it when she's anointing Yeshua's head, and it's myrrh for your hot forehead, when she's trying to get him to relax and stop taking on the burdens of every other person on the planet, and actually take some time to quiet his mind. And so myrrh for your hot, try not to get worried, try not to hold on to problems that upset you, and it's, myrrh for your hot forehead. And so when I think of myrrh, I always think about that. And it's cooling. So, right? It's cooling. So obviously myrrh for your hot forehead, it's cooling, it's good for fevers, but energetically, it's about balancing. it's about balancing the ethereal and the physical. So I like to anoint my legs, my knees. It's good for the third eye. It's good for the heart. It's good for the sacral, and it's good for just bringing that balance. It's bringing the balance between all of the different worlds, and so it helps us become much more grounded. And a lot of times what happens to us is we get so caught up in ethereal realms or trying to figure stuff out or trying to understand stuff, we forget that our whole purpose of being human is to experience life on the planet Earth. And so when we remember why we're here, we're able to tune into the physical planet. So working with myrrh is really good, again, for balancing as above and so below. So that's myrrh. Second one is nutmeg. So nutmeg is I'm going to smell it because I love nutmeg. Nutmeg is good for the sacral. It's good for creativity, and it looks like a red egg, and that's why I work with it for Mary Magdalene. One of the stories about her is when you will see her depict. This is my red egg that actually found me during that my training. We were at someone's house and they had some crystals there, and I had received this vision, and when I opened my eyes I saw the egg. And so, and there were lilies there too, which are also associated with Mary Magdalene. But it was, the red egg is after, so she was from a noble family. So a lot of times we talk about she's a prostitute and blah, 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 all sorts of slanderish things. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But she was from a noble family. She was a priestess of Isis. She was somebody very important in her own right. And so when Yeshua was crucified, she went to the emperor and said, look at this, they treated him horribly, and also he has risen, he has come back to life. And he's like, yeah, right. Like, if that's true, then these eggs will turn red. And of course they did. So that's why we use the nutmeg. That's part of the reason we use the nutmeg, because it actually looks like a red egg. And so I associate it with her. That's one of the reasons we dye eggs at Easter. And it is Easter week as I'm recording this video. I do a lot of Magdalene stuff this time of year. And so nutmeg, we put it on the sacral. It's about birth. It's about creation. It's about creativity. So it helps stir up those feelings, that juiciness, that warmth in our bodies, and so that we stir our creativity and we become more tuned in to our ability to bring things again from the ether, from the ethers, from what we desire, what our higher selves desire for us, and bringing it into the physical reality. Because if it just lives up there, it's never going to turn into anything anyway. So nutmeg is the second oil in this kit. And so I highly recommend using it on the sacral, on the belly, and with the intention of creating things. Next one is Spikenard. This is the one that's actually mentioned with her in the Bible. This is the one where she anoints Yeshua's feet with her hair. And it is this beautiful green oil. So it works, anything green is on the heart. It's a root, so anything that's a root is very grounding and works on the root chakra. And then it also works on the third eye. So I like to anoint all three areas. I have a video somewhere around here where it's specifically on spikenard, and I talk about how it hits all three of those areas. Because whenever I'm doing any sort of anointing workshop or something, I want to hit the lower chakras like sacral, root, heart, solar plexus, identity, who I am, and then upper, and connecting with their spiritual and ethereal selves. So this one is spikenard, and so I like to do all three. I will do the third eye, I will do the heart, and I will do the lower part of my body, and the feet, because of course it's associated with the feet. And so I like anointing my feet with this oil. And it helps keep me grounded, but it helps bring, again, all of these are really, so far have been really about bringing that energy the ethereal energy into the physical body and really connecting and bringing those things all together. And so spikenard isn't any different than that. The other thing I love about spikenard is it does help with dreams. So it helps us remember who we are. And so as I'm saying that, remembering who we are, the fourth oil is rosemary. So we associate Mary Magdalene with roses. We just associate all of the divine feminine with roses, and she is no less the face of the divine feminine. She's one of the most important ones who is ushering this new era of the rising and healing of the divine feminine, and bringing balance between the feminine and masculine. And so with the rose, so you actually, some of the kits have rose oil, some of it, depending on which ones you get, some have rose oil, some have rose spray, but rose is the highest vibrational oil that there is. You can put that on your heart. You can put that anywhere you want. If you have the spray, you spray it around, or I use the hydrolet, I put it in water too. But the one I'm talking about right now that does come with each kit is a rosemary. And she told me to refer to her as Rosemary, 2 words. And it's about remembering. It's remembering our purpose. It's remembering our path. It's remembering why we came here. And so sometimes we know what we are, we know what we need, but we have trouble seeing the next steps. Or we get so focused on 10 steps ahead, we forget what's right in front of us. Or we lose sight of what our actual path is. And all of this stuff can be supported through working with rosemary. And so I like to put her on my hair, or on my head, my third eye. I like having her in my aura. And so when I put things on my hair, it's more in my aura, and it kind of stays with me all day. And I remember who I am. I remember why I'm here. And I got a little disrupted because of that a second ago. And now I am remembering and back into my own body, into my own path, and understanding what is really important and how to stay focused on what I need to do. So that's rosemary. And we have 3 different rosemaries. This one is Rosemary Verbeon. They're all going to be good for remembering our past, but I find that the Verbeon is a little bit more tuned into that, and a little bit more with higher self, and aligning with our remembering what we wanted to accomplish, what we wanted to do during our time as humans. So in this, we have lots of times as human. There's during this particular time as human. The last one is Highland lavender. And one of the first times I did a Mary Magdalene event, I was tuning into what oils I wanted to use. Of course, I used the ones I mentioned before, but I wanted something that connected with her time in France, because after all the events of the biblical events that we all know about, that everyone knows about, she eventually landed in France, and that's why she's celebrated so much there. And so I wanted to connect with her time there. And so I was thinking about and this is the one that came to me, was the Highland lavender, and particularly the 1800. We have a 1400, a 1600, and the 1800. At this, I will use addendum to this is all of them are also connected with the violet flame and Saint Germain, and so there's some overlap, especially with the lessons of compassion between these 2 beings. And the messages that they are asking us to share. And so all of the Highland lavenders are going to tune into that frequency, but I find the 1800 the most associated with Mary Magdalene specifically, though working with the 1400 or the 1600 are excellent choices as well. And because they're all grown in these mountains in France, in these higher elevations, so they help us connect with the spiritual. So it's not unlike some of the other. This is very euphoric. They're very heart opening, and they're very, again, tuning into these higher level frequencies that maybe some of the other lavenders don't. The other lavenders are a little bit more grounding. And so I like to put this one on my head, and I'm going to do so right now just to see if it has anything. And sometimes it'll quiet some of the chatter in my mind and some of the extra noise that wants to come through, or not, that quiets the extra noise that allows the things that need to come through to actually come through. It's also about wholeness. The lavender family is all about wholeness, and they remind us, she reminds us through the Highland lavender, that our purpose here is to be ourselves, and everything that we need, everything that we need to do is present within us from the moment we are born. And by tuning into those frequencies and tuning into that awareness, we and letting go of what other of the burdens that we take on from other people, we are then able to rise up and become the hold space and become compassionate for others. But first we have to take care of ourselves and release the burdens that we are putting on ourselves. And so that's what the lavender 1800 does, because that was when she, after he left, and she was on her mission to continue spreading the gospel and the word of love as the ultimate truth of the universe, and remembering that we are always here to experience deeper levels of love. But in order to experience deeper levels of love, sometimes we have to, not sometimes, but we have to experience loss and grief, because we need to be able to see through that into the love and share that. And that's where the compassion comes from again. So again, you can buy the oil kit on my website at katieshell.com, or you can oils. I don't know. I have a website that specifically goes to the Magdalene stuff, but it's all on there. And let me know if you've experienced any of these oils, or how you've experienced Mary Magdalene through her gift of anointing. Have a great day.